Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock. It's time for another video. Now today I'm going to do a top 10 list. A top 10 list that everybody has been asking for. This is the top 10 best ACAANs of all time, in my opinion. Now I want to clarify a couple of things. First of all, note the words "in my opinion." There are thousands of different ways of doing ACAANs. There are millions of different routines. And these are the ones that I consider to be best, based on having spent a long time learning and thinking about ACAAN. Also, you'll notice there's more than one of the ACAANs on here that's mine. And again, there's a reason for that. You know, I believe in my own products. I believe in the tricks that I create. If I gave everybody else the best ACAAN of all time and I didn't include any of my versions, I think that would be a little bit hypocritical. Why is Craig marketing any versions of ACAAN if he doesn't even believe they're in the top 10? So obviously I'm going to have some of my stuff in there. But it's only my opinion. It's only, you might agree, you might disagree. I haven't seen every ACAAN on the planet. I guarantee there's going to be somebody down below that's going to say something like, "Oh, have you seen this ACAAN?" I'm going to go, "No, I haven't." And there's lots of ones that I wish could have made the list and didn't. You know, I've got ones on here that should have been on there and it just didn't make the list. Like Boris Wilde's "Any Card at Any Birth Date" is a brilliant trick, absolutely brilliant trick. There's a couple that by Michael Murray that are fantastic. None of them made the list. This is, in my opinion, the top 10 best ACAANs of all time, and I've performed each and every one of these. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what an ACAAN is, maybe you're new to Magic, maybe you don't really do much when it comes to cards. ACAAN stands for any card at any number, and it's the holy grail. It's the holy grail when it comes to Magic. It was originally created by Berglass. It was called the Berglass effect, and you know, back in the day, the whole idea was it was this effect that was talked about that was absolutely impossible. I think it was Mark Paul that actually put something online at some point that actually put down the stipulations that you need to meet in order to be a perfect ACAAN. Now, the perfect ACAAN goes like this. You put a deck down in front of the audience and you don't touch it again. You then have somebody name a number. It's a free choice. There's no ambiguity. They literally name a number. You have somebody else name a card and they literally can name any card. You then have the deck and you pick up the deck and you deal to that number and the card is at that number, and you do not reposition the deck at all. And there's no pre-show, there's no forcing of any kind. That is what the perfect ACAAN is all about. The deck's down on there from the very beginning. Someone names a card, someone names a number, and you deal very, very cleanly to that number. And when you do, the card at that number is their card. Now, every single version of ACAAN has positives and negatives, and it very much depends on the individual version. There's sacrifices that need to be made when you're creating a trick. You can't make the perfect ACAAN. It's almost impossible. If you could make the perfect ACAAN, it would exist. So when you're creating any trick, but especially an ACAAN, you have to make certain sacrifices. What are you willing to lean on? It might be that you have no problem with the deck not being on the table from the very beginning. It might be that you're happy with the card not having that freer choice. You know, there's lots of different options. But ultimately, the perfect ACAAN is how I just described. And all 10 of these tricks have pros and cons. All 10 of these versions of ACAAN are worth checking out. So I'm going to go through them all. I'm going to tell you where you can get them from. But let's get into it. These are the top 10 ACAANs of all time. Okay, so in 10th position, I'm going to put... I've kind of got two in 10th position. I couldn't decide between them, so I'm gonna say both of them. You've got Pete Turner's ACAAN from How to Read Minds 2, marketed by Illusionist, and you've got McCann, which is Matt Mellow's Any Card at Any Number. Now, let me briefly talk to you about both of those, because they're very, very different, but I'm putting them both in joint 10th position. So McCann, you can get as a download from Penguin Magic, and I was lucky enough to host the download for Penguin. It's not my trick. It's Matt Mellow's trick, but the whole idea, what's great about this trick is that it's a shuffle deck of cards in use. So you give someone a deck of cards, they shuffle the cards. Now, it's not technically an ACAAN, it's more of a CAAN, because you don't get them to freely pick a card. You bring out a stranger card from a different deck and you openly show it and you say, hey, here's the 7 of hearts. You're going to name any number, and it's a completely free choice. They name the number, you write it on the back of the stranger card, they take the cards, they deal it into your hand, and at that position, you show the card that's the position in the deck, and it matches the stranger card that you brought out from a shuffled deck of cards in use. Everything's examinable because there's no gimmicks. And on the download, I talked about how to actually make the ACAAN, how to make McCann an actual any card at any number where they freely name a card. Now the disadvantages, and this is what I'm talking about trade-offs, the disadvantage is to do it as an ACAAN, you have to have a second deck. So you bring a second deck into play, which again is a regular deck. You have a red deck and you have a blue deck and you take the stranger card from there. It makes it an ACAAN, but now you're dealing with 2 decks of cards, which again, for me, wasn't an issue when I was creating that version, but it's worth noting. And as I say, you get positives and you get negatives, you get pros and cons of every single version of ACAAN. Now, the Pete Turner method is completely different. With the Pete Turner version of ACAAN, and Pete's got tons of different versions of ACAAN, but a lot of them aren't published or you can't get them anymore. This you can. It was published in How to Read Minds 2 project. You give someone a deck of cards. You then, once you've given someone a deck of cards, you have them name a card, you have them name a number, you take the cards back, you deal down to that number, and the card is there. Okay, now it's a free choice of number. They feel like it's a free choice of card, but you're basically, without giving too much away, there's a principle at work that a lot of people don't like. Now, I think this is a brilliant approach to ACAAN, and the principle that's being used is amazing, and Pete layered it in such a way that even if this principle doesn't work, it's still an incredible hit. But I know that I've spoken to some people and I've said, hey, I think that Pete's ACAAN from How to Read Minds 2 is one of the, or How to Control Minds, or whatever it is, How to Read Minds, one of them, the latest one that came out on Kickstarter. I say that that's one of the best ACAANs I've ever seen, and they go, oh, no, it's not. No, I hate the method for this reason, that reason, and the other reason. I love it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I don't want to get too much into method, but there is a trade-off with this trick. Pete's using a gimmick deck of cards as well as something extra which allows him to make use of this principle, which is really well known. But if you were planning on doing an ACAAN on TV, this would probably be the way that you do it, because you can literally hand someone a deck of cards, have them name a card, have somebody else name a number. You can take the cards back, you can deal down to that number, and the card is there. It's incredibly clean, and blew away every single magician on the Magic Cafe when Pete posted that video of him doing it. So there you go, that's 10th place, McCann. You can get that from Penguin Magic as a download. Pete Turner's ACAAN is part of the How to Read Minds 2 kit, which you can get from Illusionist. Okay, so in 9th position, we have the Vanishing ACAAN from the Beyond Stebbins project. Now, I said there were going to be some ACAANs that are in this list from me. Part of the reason for that is I'm obsessed with ACAAN, and I have been for many, many years. I must have come up with about 30 or 40 different versions. Many of them I've dismissed. Many of them haven't even seen the light of day. But the version that I'm talking about here, the Vanishing ACAAN, appeared on my Beyond Stebbins project from ACAAN. Now, the Beyond Stebbins project was a project all about routines with a Stebbins deck that's in Stebbins stack, but it added something extra to the Stebbins deck in that it was gimmicked in a way that the cards can be examined, but they are gimmicked and you can make use of that gimmick at any point that you want to. Now, on the Beyond Stebbins project, there was a couple of different ACAANs actually, but the one I'm talking about now is the Vanishing ACAAN, and that added something a little bit different into the mix. So what happens with the Vanishing ACAAN is you have somebody pick a card, you have somebody, you have somebody name a number, and there is no force of number. You have somebody apparently freely name a card, and then what happens is that you take the deck, you deal down through the deck, and the effect isn't an ACAAN. The effect is that you're going to make that card vanish from the deck. You then deal through, you count through the cards, and there's only 51 cards. Very cleanly, no double dealing or anything like that. The card is gone. You then take the cards back, and with no manipulation and no changing around of positions or anything like that, you deal the card. You say you're going to bring the card back at the position they name the card, the number again, and you deal down to that number, and the card is there face up. Okay, so that's the Vanishing ACAAN. It starts with the vanish of a playing card, and then from the vanish of a playing card, it goes into the card appearing face up in a face down deck at that position. Now, first of all, obviously the deck is gimmicked and stacked, so that's something that you need to bear in mind. The negative, first of all, it's a free choice of number. Which is great. It's an absolutely free choice of number. And there's also no sleight of hand with the trick. When they name the card, or when the card is named, you deal through, and there is literally nothing to see. They deal through, there's 51 cards there, and their card genuinely has gone. It's not like you're having to do a Zaro spread or a buckle count or something like that. The card genuinely has gone. And then with no alteration of the deck, the card appears there. Now, the negative to this, and the trade-off that you need to think of with this, is it's not a free choice of card. Now, you're not forcing the card per se, but there's some procedure that they need to go through in order to name the card. You can't just say to them, name a card. You have to get them to do something. Now, the thing that you get them to do feels really fair, right? And it feels, and you can justify this procedure by telling them that, hey, I want to name a card in this way because I want, you to make sure that I'm not cheating in any way, shape or form. So it feels really fair, but that's the trade-off with this version of ACAAN. There's some procedure when you have them name the card, which is juxtaposed to the number, because they can name literally any number, and then obviously the deck is stacked and gimmicked. Now, you would never see the gimmick in a million years. You could hand this to a magician and they wouldn't see anything, but the deck is gimmicked, and the deck is obviously stacked as well. You are instantly reset, so once you've done the trick, you're ready to do it again with a different card and a different number. But, that's the trade-off. I do like, the reason this is on the list is A, I think it's a very clean method, but B, I love the vanishing aspect of it. I love the fact that you're making the card disappear, because you ask for the number as a very offhand thing, like, hey, name a number. Right, we'll get back to that. You then focus on the card, and you focus on vanishing the card and making it disappear. And it's only then that you come back and you get the number, and you deal down and the card appears at that number. So that's the next one on the list, the Vanishing ACAAN. You can get it from the Beyond the Stebbins project, either from magictv.org, which is my online shop, or you can get it from ACAAN. I got a pack of cards. They're all there, they're all different, and we're going to try and do something a little bit weird, a little bit random, but it involves you in a minute picking a card. But Michael's behind the camera. Michael, name there's 52 cards in the deck. Can you name a position from 1 to 52?
12.
Yeah, okay, cool. 12 is fine. We'll get back to that in a minute. So he's got the position. I ask him to name a position because a lot of the time when you have somebody name a position in the deck, it's completely random. Yeah. But if I asked you to name a card, it's less random. Most people go for a Queen of Hearts or an Ace of Spades or a King of Clubs or something like that. So we're going to make it really random right now. We're going to take the deck, spread it out on the table. I'm going to give you a business card. Now you're going to put that business card into the deck. When you put it into the deck, it's going to go next to 2 cards, and we're going to use those 2 cards to create a brand new card. Ooh. So take that card. You can start off by putting it anywhere you want to. Yeah, you sure? Yep. Cool. Now where you put it, there's 2 cards above, there's 2 cards below. Do you want to take the 2 cards above? Do you want to take the 2 cards below? Or would you like to take one from above and one from below? It's your choice.
Let's go 2 above.
2 above. So those 2 right there.
Yep.
Okay. It's important that you know that you have a completely free choice in the matter. So this card is going to represent the value. This card is going to represent the suit. I'm going to look away. This card right here is the value. So whatever the value of this card is, that's going to be the value of your card.
Got it.
And this card here is going to be the suit.
Got it.
So now you're thinking of a card that you didn't even know that you were going to be thinking of. Yep. Not only did you not know you were going to be thinking of it, I couldn't possibly know what that card is. And even if I did know what it is, which I don't, I couldn't know where in the deck it is because we've created a card at random. It's not like I've had you take a card and put it back and I can keep track of where it is. There's no way I could know. So if I told you I could do that and make your card vanish, that would be good.
That would be really good.
Now there's 52 cards in the deck. One has gone, so there's now 51. The best way for me to prove it is to deal the cards on the table one at a time. If you see your card, tell me. You won't see it because it's gone. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have you seen your card yet?
No.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Have you seen your card yet?
No.
We could keep going, or do you trust me? No, we'll keep going. So that's 11. So we've got 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Have you seen your card yet? 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Have you seen it yet?
No.
31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Have you seen it yet?
No.
41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. 51 cards. One card has gone. Was your card there?
No.
See, that's a miracle, right? Think
That is
about
a
it. You
miracle.
thought of a card. You didn't tell me. You didn't write it down. You didn't say it out loud. One card and one card only has vanished from the pack.
Yeah.
The hard part is bringing it back. Now it's back. Not only is it back, it's face up.
Really?
Not only is it face up, it's face up in a particular position. That's the position that you named, Michael. What was the position again?
12.
12. Watch this. Done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. One card right there, face up in the 12th position. How did I do?
That's the code.
Amazing. Okay, checking out my list here. The next one is number 8. And number 8 is the Mirage ACAAN. Now, everybody knows that I love taking tricks that have been around since time began and changing them and kind of stretching out as much magic with them as I can. You saw me do that with the Cheat to Cheat deck, with the Beyond the Stebbins deck. You saw me do that with the Invisible deck, with my Project Visible. Well, that's what I've done again with the Mirage deck. I've been working with the Mirage deck for years, and the Mirage deck is something that people generally only use for a forcing deck, because it is a very clean way to force a card, a particular card. However, there's so much more that you can do with a Mirage deck. There really is. And this is my personal handling of how to do an ACAAN with a Mirage deck. Because honestly, a Mirage deck and the fact of how a Mirage deck works makes doing an ACAAN look absolutely impossible. And this is something that I've performed many, many times on stage. Basically, what happens with a Mirage ACAAN is that you have a deck of cards, you show that they're all normal, you shuffle the cards very, very fairly, you have them pick any card, they can take any one they want to, the card's lost in the deck, you shuffle again, you then put the deck down on the table, and you have them name a number, any number, you deal down to that number, and the card's at that number. It's a very clean version of ACAAN, and it works great on stage. This is one of the handlings of ACAAN that I use on stage all of the time. The negative is, it's not the perfect way of doing an ACAAN, and what I mean by that is you're not having someone name a number. Okay, sorry. Yes, you are. You're not having someone name a card. You're taking a deck of cards and you're shuffling them and having them take a card, and there is no force. It's not like a riffle foot. You spread out, they can take any card. Because of the Mirage deck, you can literally have them touch any card. But obviously it's not like name a card, you know, you're having to get them to take one. So there's a negative there, really. And they are having a free choice of playing card. They are having a free choice of number. But the other negative behind this is once they've taken the card, you shuffle the deck and then you put it down on the table. Now, you don't have to have them name the number until after you've put it down on the table. But as I discussed at the beginning of this video, the optimal impressive thing with an ACAAN is that you put the deck down and before they do anything, you put the deck on the table. That's not possible with this version. But I love having somebody up on stage with me and doing this because it feels really clean. It really does. And if you've ever seen footage of myself, we're going to try and put some performance videos up of the majority of these tricks. So if you, there might be a performance video of this following this. But yeah, this is one of my favorite routines to perform on stage. But again, you see what I mean about making certain sacrifices. The sacrifice here is they're not naming a card and the cards are shuffled, and it's a gimmick deck, although that's really not a problem because the way that this is performed, you're showing the deck is normal. They genuinely think the deck is normal. So anyway, I've got a pack of cards here.
Yes.
And I mean, you can see they're all there, they're all different. There's 52 cards altogether. I'll give them a shuffle. The interesting thing about shuffling the cards is every time you shuffle, it changes the position of every single card in the deck. Now there's an urban legend amongst magicians, and it's called the ACAAN, otherwise known as the Berglas effect. Now ACAAN stands for any card at any number, and the idea of this is that somebody names a card, somebody names a number, and the card that they think of is at the position that they name. Now, the reason it's an urban legend is because this was originally created as a concept by a guy called David Berglas, who's a magician that's over 90 now, very old guy. And he was known as the only person ever to be able to perform this, hence it's called the Berglas effect. And as an interesting side note, David Berglas is actually the father of Marvin Berglas, who you might know from Marvin's Magic. He owns Marvin's Magic, so it's all connected.
You learn something new every day.
For years, you know, for years and years and years, people have been trying to replicate the Berglas effect. And people come close, people don't actually manage to do it. And this is the way I perform the Berglas effect. So there's two parts to it. And the first part is naming a number, second part is naming a card. Now, I find that if you ask someone name a number between 1 and 52, they tend to go for a really random number, but that's not the case with a card. Most people psychologically are influenced to go for normally an ace, maybe an ace of spades or a queen of hearts. In fact, true story, so many people name a queen of hearts. I actually had a queen of hearts tattooed on my arm. So if I say to somebody, name a card, and they go queen of hearts, I go, ta-da. So we're gonna make it completely random. From a shuffled deck of cards, and all the cards are different, as you can see, I'm just going to have you touch one. You can touch any one you want to. It's totally up to you. That one right there, are you sure?
Yep.
So have a look at, because here's the thing, you can change your mind if you want to. Are you sure you're happy with that card?
I'll stick with it.
Take it, show the camera, do not show me.
Yep.
Okay, and pop it onto the pack. We're going to lose that card right there into the middle of the deck. Now, obviously, you saw me cut it roughly into the middle, so you know it's halfway down-ish right now. So I'm going to give the cards a shuffle. I'm going to let you choose how many. How many shuffles would you like to give? 1, 2, or 3?
2.
2. So that was 1, and this is another one, like that. Do you want me to give them one more cut, or are we okay as we are?
We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
So the other part of this is now I have no idea what your card is. I have no idea where it is. You could literally have touched any one of these. So the next part is there's 52 cards in the deck. When I snap my fingers, I want to name a position from 1 to 52. Bearing in mind, I have to deal to it, so let's not make it too boring. But it's completely up to you. You can have any position that you want.
19.
19. Are you sure? Because that's my IQ.
I thought it was lower than that.
Yeah. Are you sure you want 19?
Yeah.
Because I don't want saying later on I made you pick 19. You're happy with 19?
I'll stick with 19.
Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 is that card right there. Now, if you'd have said 20, you would have got the 5 of clubs. Was that your card?
No.
If you'd have said 18, you would have got the 7 of diamonds. Was that your card?
It was not.
If you'd have said any card further down, you could have had any one of these. No one could have known what your card was. But that is the card in the 19th position. You haven't said the card out loud. At this point, you haven't told me. You've shown them, but you haven't said anything. But that's the 19th card. All I want you to do is tell me, how did I do?
You were spot on.
Okay, so the next ACAAN I'm going to talk about is one that's very near and dear to my heart. And this is position number 7. And this is the 2-deck ACAAN from the Boombox project by Andrew Niner. So to give you a little bit of history here, if you haven't seen the Boombox before, it's an incredible device built into a card case that allows you to switch cards. It's a little bit like a Himba wallet, built into a card case, right? And there's so much you can do with it. And Andrew created this, and Penguin got in touch with me and asked me to be the guy that was kind of fronting the project and creating the routines for it. And I was delighted to. I'm a huge Andrew Niner fan, and I was honored to actually be even involved in this project. I think Andrew Niner is amazing. If you haven't checked out his interview with me, please do so. Andrew is a rising star. Well, no, he's not. He's already risen. He's a star in the magic industry. Now, when I was putting together routines with the Boombox, one of the first routines I created was an ACAAN. And it's kind of a very different approach to ACAAN. So what happens here is you put a deck of cards down in front of them. There's 2 decks. You put a deck of cards down in front of the audience, and you say to them, hey, there's a prediction in this deck in a particular position. So you put that deck down in front of somebody. You then bring out another deck, and these cards have all got numbers written on the faces. So each card has a number written on the face, and you have them shuffle the cards as much as they want to. The nice thing about this version is there really is no setup to those cards. They could shuffle them as much as they want to, and they can take any cards out that they want to. They take 2 cards face down, and you give them a chance to change their mind if they want, or not change their mind, and eventually you say, right, one of these cards are going to represent a playing card, one's going to represent a number. Which one do you want to have represent the number? And they get a free choice. So even when they've taken 2 cards out, they can still change their mind at this point which way round they do things. You then turn the cards over. Let's say the number is a 10 and the card is a 7 of diamonds. They deal down to the 10th position, and the card is in the deck that you put to one side from the beginning. The 10th card is the 7 of diamonds. Now, what's really nice about this is when the deck goes down in front of the prediction deck, that's not touched. Technically, that is the perfect ACAAN, because that deck isn't touched. They can open up the box, they can deal down to that position, they can look at the card, it's their card, everything's examinable, there's nothing to find. That's an ungimmicked deck. That's about as perfect as you can get to an ACAAN, right? Now, the downside to this is that you're using 2 decks, and there is procedure involved in getting them to name a number in a card. Now, technically, there's no force of a number, there's no force of a card, because they can genuinely shuffle and take any card and any 2 cards they want to, and they can pick whichever one they want to represent the card, whichever one they want to represent the value. But it's this procedure that maybe brings the trick down a peg or 2. Now, I don't have a problem with this procedure because it feels really fair. As long as you justify procedure, I don't see a problem with it, as long as it's not too long. And in this case, you just say to people, hey, most people name the same card. Most people name the same number. We're going to vary it up. I've got this deck of cards. I've wrote numbers on each one. Take the cards, give them a shuffle, take any 2 cards out that you want to. That's how we're going to find a card and a number. So it's very easy to justify. And if you are happy with the justification of the selection of the card and the number, the rest of the ACAAN is damn near perfect, because the rest of it, you don't touch the deck. They can open up the box, they can take the cards out, they can deal down to the position, and they will always see that card in that position, and everything's examinable afterwards. When I actually came up for the method for the Boombox ACAAN, I was so proud of myself. I was like, oh my God, this is a great approach to doing ACAAN. I'm really happy with how this has come out. And you know what? I love the Boombox. Almost every deck I have goes to the Boombox. But here's the thing about the Boombox. The Boombox, I really only these days do the ACAAN off there, even though there's tons of other stuff you can do. I do the ACAAN and I do the design duplication off the project, not really anything else. Not that it's any good, it's just that the ACAAN is my absolute favourite.
So we've got a couple of dex cards.
Nice.
1 red, 1 blue. We are going to take the red ones. Okay. And you can have a look through those. All there, all different, 52 cards, 52 possibilities. Exactly. So we're going to pop those over there for now, and then we are going to use these ones. Now, these ones are a blue deck of cards, as you can see. They differ quite drastically from the red ones in the fact that this one's blue.
Yes.
Excellent. Just to make sure we're on the same page. And the other thing that differs drastically is on every single one of these cards, I shuffled them up and then wrote 1 to 52. Why did I write 1 to 52, Jack?
Because there's 52 cards.
Because there's 52 cards. 1 to 52, a different number on each one of the cards.
Nice.
Okay?
Yeah.
In big green numbers. What I want you to do is take those cards. I want you to give them a shuffle. Any way you see fit. Have you been practicing?
Why would I be practicing?
Because you work for a magic company.
But I'm not a magician.
Yeah, but you could get a shuffle down.
You'd think.
But apparently not. Okay, I don't want to touch them, so you hold on to the cards. Okay, so what I need you to do is go through the cards, take out any 2 cards. They don't have to be from the same position. You can take 2 cards from anywhere in the deck and put them face down, one there and one there.
Okay.
Boom. And boom. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to take these cards, put them into this box for a second. What I need you to do is look at the rest of those cards. Just have a look over, show everybody else, make sure everybody there is seeing the same thing. They're all completely different, and they've all got different numbers on them. You can clarify that for anybody that can't see, right?
Yep, I can clarify that.
Perfect. So we're going to pop those back here. We don't need those for now. And then we're going to take these 2 cards that you chose.
Yep.
And we're going to do something miraculous with them.
Ooh.
Are you excited?
Just can't hide it.
Think you're about to lose control and you think you like it. Okay, right. So one of these cards is going to be the actual card that we're going to find.
Yeah.
The other card is going to be the position of the card in that deck.
Nice.
Okay, so that's been there for the whole time from the very start.
Yep.
You've chosen these 2 at random. This is your next decision. Which one you can choose which one you want. So which one do you want to be the card? Which one do you want to be the position in the deck?
That card, that position.
That's the card.
Yep.
So the card we are looking for is the 7 of spades.
Nice.
The position in the deck is 14.
Got it.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you steady?
Go.
Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
That's the card.
That is the card.
Nice.
Good job.
Oh, I don't do anything.
I mean, you did. If you'd have picked the wrong cards, it wouldn't have been there, and then I'd have looked like an idiot. So thanks very much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
You've done a good job. You said you couldn't be a magician. Look what you've just done. I think you're underselling yourself.
It's not gonna happen.
You could be a magician.
I'm not
You
being
could
a
be a
magician.
magician.
It's time for the jackumentary.
No,
It
it's
is time
fucking
for the
not.
jackumentary. Let's get the jackumentary done. Bye, Jack.
Okay, so the last couple of routines have been mine, you know, like the Vanishing ACAAN, the Mirage ACAAN, the Boombox ACAAN. So now we're going to go on to something that's not mine. It was produced by Penguin Magic, and it's by Brent Braun, and it's called Position Impossible. Now, Brent Braun is an amazing magician. He really is. You know, he's doing great things in the magic community. He's a consultant. He's a magician. He's a magic dealer. He's ethical. He's knowledgeable. He's a great creator. I've got a lot of time for Brent Braun, and I've got a lot of time for him as a person as well as a magician. And when Brent was working with Penguin a few years ago, he created this routine, Position Impossible, which is an incredibly clean version of an ACAAN. So you have somebody shuffle a deck of cards, or you shuffle a deck of cards, and it's a free shuffle. There's no, you know, you really are giving those cards waterfall shuffles. You shuffle the cards, and then you can have somebody take a card, you can have someone name a number, and the card appears at that number. It is that clean and it's that direct. Now, there's several principles working together with Position Impossible to create an absolute miracle. And one thing that Brent's done on the project, which is really smart, is you can do it not just as an ACAAN, but you can flesh it out using the same deck, and you can use you know, you can have a multi-phase routine if you want to, and that's how I've always done it in the past. Now, it's really, really strong, and which is why it's been so popular on Penguin Magic. The negative behind it is it's a gimmick deck, which isn't an issue because nobody suspects the gimmick deck, and the fact that they're not freely naming a card, you're having them take a card, and that's how they select the card. So in that respect, it's a little bit like the Mirage ACAAN that I spoke about. Obviously, I think Position Impossible is maybe a little bit better than the Mirage deck, which is why it's higher up on the list, but it has that same drawback in that it's not a free choice of card, and it's not a free choice, and it's a gimmick deck. Now, as long as you can live with those 2 points, Position Impossible is a fantastic trick. And honestly, I would recommend that everybody picks it up, especially if you're not a fan of ACAAN, because it really feels very different to any ACAAN that I've
So
seen.
we're going to start by having you select a card from the deck. So I'm going to drop cards from hand to hand like this. You're going to just say stop anytime you want.
Stop.
Right there. Are you happy there? You want to go further? Are you sure? Because we can go a little further if you want. I want it to be a completely free choice. I don't want you to regret this decision later.
No, I'm good.
You're happy. I'm going to show you that card,
Okay.
which is just remember what it was. Don't forget, though, because you're the only one that's going to know, okay? It's important. Do you have any idea what card she has? Neither do I. We're going to try to do something, though, and if this works out and you guys link up properly, this is going to be impossible. Yeah. You don't know what the card is, but maybe you know roughly where it is because you stopped me near the bottom. Yeah, kind of near the bottom. So here's what we'll do. We'll shuffle them. Right? So now you don't know what the card is and you don't know where the card is. You remember the card though, yes? Here's the important part. I want you to remember, before I ever ask you to do anything, the cards were on the table and out of my control. Because later on when you tell people the story, and you will tell people the story, I want you to remember that before you ever made any decisions, the cards were out of my control and on the table. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
She's thinking of a card. I want you to think of any number you want between 1 and 52.
Right.
We're going to count down to that number. We'll see if her card is at that number.
Right.
Remember, the cards are out of my control, though. So I want you to think of the number. You can change your mind in your head. But once you say it out loud, there's no going back. We're stuck with that number. Anytime you want.
7.
7. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
The number 7. Keep me honest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You agree that is indeed the 7th card.
Yep.
Right? You also agree that he could have said a number larger than 7 who would have gotten any of these cards.
Yep.
We're going to look through here and see if you see your card in the one there. Was it the 6 of clubs? Was it the 8 of spades? Was it the 10 of hearts? You didn't see it in there. I think you're doing good, man. I think you got it. I'm feeling good about it. Feeling good about it. Could have been one of the top 6, though. He could have named any number between 1 and 6. You see your card in there? It wasn't the 4. It wasn't the 10. Wasn't anywhere in here.
You sure you don't see your card?
One card. One card only. For the first time, tell them what the card was.
Yeah.
3 of hearts. You realize what this means? If this works?
I'm correct.
You didn't have to say 7.
No, I didn't
You could have
have
said
to.
5.
Yeah.
You could have said 22. You could have said 51. But you didn't. You said the number 7. She said her card was the 3 of hearts. This is indeed the 3 of hearts.
What the fuck?
Woo! You got it.
Okay, so in 5th place we have, or 5th place, yes, we have AACAAN or ACAAN, otherwise known as Asses Any Card at Any Number. And this is Assy Wins Any Card at Any Number. Now, he's published this in a book. He published this in an online project. You can now get it as a download from Vanishing Inc. So what is Assy Wins Any Card at Any Number? Well, a lot of people consider this to be the best any card of any number at all time, of all time. And from an effect point of view, it absolutely makes sense because you put a deck of cards, a case deck of cards down on the table. You have someone name a card. You have someone name a number. When they name the card and the number, you take the cards out of the case and you deal down to that number. And when you do the cards there and the rest of the deck is completely examinable, you reset ready to go again. There's a lot to love about this trick. So what's the downside? Well, there's a couple of downsides. The first is that although the deck is ungimmicked, it is in a particular order that you need to know. Without wanting to give too much away, you're going to have to know a memorized stack. I think that's fair to say because they talk about that on the actual ad copy, but you are going to need to know a memorized stack, and you're going to need to know it really well because as part of the trick, there's a lot of mental gymnastics that you need to do in your head, and that needs to be done very, very quickly in order to be able to make this method work. Because if you sit there and you go, you know, that's not going to really work too well. Now, I speak to people that really struggle doing the math with an invisible deck, where they go, okay, so it's a 5, so I need to take 5 away from 13. If that's you, this is really not going to be a trick that's suitable for you because you're going to need to be able to do that mental gymnastics very, very quickly. The other thing is there is a move involved in this trick. It's not a difficult move. Well, it is a tricky move, but it's also quite knacky. And it needs to be done when there's a lot of heat on the deck. Well, there's a lot of heat on the deck. I don't want to say what the move is or when you do it, but there is a move that you do, and it takes a lot of practice to make the move look smooth. Because if you don't do the move correctly, it telegraphs exactly how the trick works. But outside of that, it's very close to being a perfect ACAAN because the deck's put down on the table from the very beginning. They have a free choice of card. They have a free choice of number. And then you take the cards out of the case, and at that point, if you want to, you can give the spectator the deck to deal. I mean, there's a lot to love about this, but it is going to require a lot of practice. There is a move that you need to learn that's quite tricky, and you're going to need to know a memorized deck. Now, as a side note, I've not seen it, so I can't comment on it, but I have heard that Unbiased Magic Reviews has any card. Well, I know they have an any card at any number. I think it's called the Unbiased ACAAN. Now, I don't know it, haven't seen it, haven't got a download to it, but from what I've read online and from what I've heard from Mr. Unbiased Magic Reviews, it's a version of this, but he's eliminated a lot of the problems. Or not problems. I don't want to say Acid Wind's routine is problematic, but he's eliminated a lot of the stuff that I said was a negative. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I believe that there's no memory work or something like that. I don't know. But if you like the sound of the Acid Wind ACAAN and you want to look at a different version that doesn't involve a mem deck, I believe that the Unbiased Any Card at Any Number is that. And a lot of people have said that it's the best ACAAN they've ever seen. I haven't seen it, I don't own it, but I'd like to give it a shout out purely because I've heard a lot of people talk about it positively, but it can't make the list because I've not actually seen it, learned it, or performed it myself.
Have you heard of this guy who's been to a hit and run accident, and they wanted to find the guy who did it, and he went to a hypnotist, and the hypnotist took him back in time, and he says, freeze, and it was a second before the car hit him, and he was able to see the driving license, and he knew every number, and they found the guy.
No, I didn't hear that.
It's because I made it up.
Oh, okay.
No, but it's a cool story, isn't it? And
a
theoretically, it
great
sounds
story.
possible, doesn't it? It sounds possible. So, okay, we'll try this, okay?
All right.
Have you been hypnotized before?
No.
Okay. Look at the cards quickly. Start from here, and then from here, and go to. Okay, look at me. Look at me. Close your eyes. Keep them closed. Quickly, can you name any card that pops in your head right now?
6 of diamonds.
6 of diamonds. Start from the very top, okay? And I want you to kind of like count in your view. You're going to see the cards right now in your mind. You're going to see them. And tell me where is it the first one, second, third, fourth, and so forth. Where do you think it is?
24th.
That's unbelievable that you knew that. Are you sure?
Yeah.
No changing, nothing?
No, did she say diamonds?
No, which one did you say? You said?
6 of diamonds.
Yeah, 6 of
yeah,
them.
yeah, 24th.
You sure? 24th. Can you remove all the cards, please, for me? Open your eyes. Take all of them. She thinks it's 24th from the top. Can you flip one at a time? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's 20. And you said 6 of diamonds? Yeah. And you think it's 24th? Wow.
In 4th place, we have IceBerg. Now, I ummed and ahed about whether to include IceBerg on here, but I decided to. So this was done recently to me on a Craig test. Matt did it. Matt performed it for me, and as soon as he did, I realized at that point I wanted to buy this, and I went out and ran out and got myself one of these as well. What's really cool about this is it's an any card at any number with 1 playing card. So the effect is that you put a folded up playing card on the table in front of you, you have someone in their head select a card and select a number, and when they select a card and they select a number, you then say, hey, if the card was on the folded up card, would that be good? And they say yes, and you've got that 52 on 1 card gag where you open it up and you say, well, they're all on here. But then you have them name a number, and when they name a number, they look at all the cards, and all of them are there, and they're all different, but the card next to the number that they're thinking of is the card that they're thinking of, which is ingenious, because it's an ACAAN without even using a deck of cards. That's crazy. Fantastic effect. Perfect EDC, because it just fits in your wallet and you're ready to go. The disadvantage is there's a little bit of procedure. Well, there's lots of different methods on the actual project. So there's lots of different ways of actually doing this, but there's a little bit of procedure when they name the number. So the card can be a freely chosen card, but the number you have to do a little bit of procedure in order to get. You can't just say name a number. right? Now the way that this is presented, it feels like you're giving them a free choice of number, because you can say, hey, you know, without giving too much away, it feels like they're having a free choice of number, because again, just like I talked about previously, you're justifying the procedure that you need to go through to have that number created, but that's the downside. The upside to this is it's impossible, because there's no way that you could have manipulated the deck or anything like that, because it's one playing card that's been on the table from the very beginning. So there's a lot to love about this trick. This is actually a really strong version of ACAAN, and it's the perfect thing to put inside your wallet. It's great. I love it. Some people will say it's not a real ACAAN, but it is. It is absolutely a real ACAAN. If anything, it's better than a normal ACAAN, because you've only got one card. But you just need to be aware that there is a little bit of procedure in order to have them name that number. So what we got? We got a folded up card.
We have, yeah. I was having a mooch around over there earlier and found
my incredibly neat.
Yeah, your
filing
incredibly
system.
neat and tidy plethora of playing cards, and found quite an interesting deck. So I took a card out,
Okay.
folded it up, put it there, and that's been there since before you walked in.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it is. I came in this room and that was sitting.
And that was sitting there. Now, the interesting thing about that card is not necessarily the card itself, it's also where in the deck it came from, the position. I counted.
Okay.
So I just went down and I counted some cards, and then I took one out. So I know what position in the deck that card came from as well.
Okay, interesting.
And soon, you're going to know.
Am I?
Hopefully.
Okay.
We're going to try and make that happen.
All right.
So, just card, I mean, we all know you know cards, right? 52 cards, 13 values, pictures, numbers, 4 suits, blacks, reds.
Did you know, genuinely, a deck of cards is a lot like a calendar? Have you ever heard that before?
No.
Here's something for you. Really interesting, slightly off topic.
Right, so when this video goes on for too long, Mike, and he moans at me that the video's too long, this is why.
No, I thought you might like to know this, because this is
Okay,
like
before we do,
Okay.
just pick a suit.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Pick a suit, say it out loud.
Hearts.
Hearts, perfect. Okay, cool. Go on, carry on.
No, it's okay. Let's finish the trick and I'll tell you.
Okay,
Valuable
I'm
information.
intrigued now, and they all want to know as well, so you can't do it off video.
You know, this is an interesting thing to throw to a bit. A deck of cards is a lot like a calendar, because there's 2 distinct sort of sections, red and black, which represents day and night. There's 4 suits.
Red, is that when the thatched cottage at the end of the village is on fire?
Exactly. There's 4 suits, and there's 4 suits, and that represents something. 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Spring, summer, autumn, winter. There's 13 cards in each suit. There's 13 lunar cycles. There's 12 court cards, and there's 12 months in a year.
Yeah.
And here's the good one: you add up all of the cards, counting the Jack is 11, the Queen is 12, and the King is 13.
Yeah.
And there's 364. That's the total, which is what you'd have in a leap year. And if you add the Joker, that becomes 365.
You know what? I didn't actually know that.
There you go.
Mike, do me a favour. Get Jack to do the maths on that. Just make sure it.
Get Jack to do the maths.
Yeah.
Jack.
Jack's good with the calculator. Mike, can you do the maths on that? Just to make sure that it's genuine. Anyway, okay,
Hearts.
right. So, okay, perfect. So what I need you to do, okay, so again, I've taken this card out of a deck that's over there, I've folded it up and I've put it here. You know there's 52 cards, there's 13 values.
Yeah, all of that.
All that kind of stuff. Okay, so what I need you to do is just pick that suit. Just keep it here in the back of your head, okay? Keep it other side, over here, over there. Okay, so keep that suit there. While we're there, pick a value.
Okay.
So now you've effectively generated a playing card in your head,
Yeah.
right? So you've got a playing card here.
Yeah.
On this side, what I need you to do is take the number value of the card that you've generated and just bring it over here and double it. So over here, you've got your card you've generated. Over here, you've got a number that's bigger than that.
Yeah.
Double
got
it.
that. Yeah.
Actually, fuck it. Double that number again.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
double the number again.
Right,
So
yeah.
you've got a number, you've got a playing card here, and you've got the number from the playing card here doubled,
Done.
and then doubled again.
Done.
Okay. Fair?
Yeah.
So far, all you've done is in your head.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do is try and figure out exactly what it is that that card. So we're going to try and figure out that card, basically and we're going to tell these people what that card is.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I knew what that card was going to be.
I don't believe you.
How can you not believe me?
I don't believe you.
Well, I've got it here.
Okay.
This is the card that you chose in your head. and I've got it written down on here.
I believe you.
You don't believe me?
No.
There you go.
Well,
See?
dude, they're all on there.
Yeah, I know, but what the card that you chose is on there.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
they're all on there. Can you see that? Can you focus in on that? Okay, now before you have a look at this properly, because in order for me to, I mean, it's not possible, obviously, because that'd be real magic. That's like the holy grail, as you magicians say. Knowing the card that somebody's picked in their head without actually anything happening is the holy grail. So can you just focus in on that? Make sure you can get it all.
Yeah.
You got it all? Okay, so without you even looking and without me saying anything, what was the large number?
28.
28. Can you see 28 on there?
Yeah.
And you've got the card that equates to?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so just, I haven't asked you for anything, I haven't fished for anything. You literally just picked a number in your head.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it was 28.
Yes.
What was the card?
The 7 of hearts.
It's the 7 of hearts.
Very cool. Okay, so in third place, you have the Grail. The Grail, the Grail, the Grail. The Grail is amazing. The Grail is by Mike Rose and by ACAAN Magic. And I believe that they're republishing it soon. It came out a very, very long time ago. And it's almost perfect as far as I'm considered. It's almost perfect. Now, the new version that comes out of the Grail, I was speaking to Peter Nardi recently. The new version is just insane. He described it to me and I said, that's not possible. And then he showed it to me and he explained how it worked. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So the Grail is brilliant. I mean, you literally, it ticks almost every box in that you put the deck down in front of you on the table. You have them, now you have them name a number. The one thing that I would say is it's, you're not having them name a card. It's more of a card at any number than any card at any number. There are ways of making it an any card at any number. For sure, there's ways of making it an any card at any number. But in essence, if you perform it the basic way, it's a card at any number. But they're having a free choice of card. And then you're taking the deck out and you're dealing. I remember Pete telling me that he launched this at Mind-boggling convention and he was just having people coming up to the stand wanting to see it again and again and again. It's been out a while now, but it is just as strong as any other version of ACAAN you've ever seen, which is why I'm putting it in third place. You can get it from ACAAN Magic, but you might want to hold off because they're relaunching it very, very soon with a new tutorial with a bunch of new ideas. I have Sarah behind the camera. Hey, Sarah.
Hi.
I also have a pack of playing cards and I have an envelope. Now, if you were here this side of the camera, I would give you the envelope to hold on to right from the very beginning.
Okay.
I will tell you ahead of time. You can see that there's a playing card in there.
Yeah.
But we're going to put that over there. Now, as well as that, I also have a deck of cards. Now, Sarah, I'll tell you right now, I've taken the advertising cards out of this pack. I've also taken the jokers out of this pack. So with all the advertising cards and the jokers removed, how many cards are there in a pack of cards?
52.
Correct, 52 cards. They're made up of 4 suits, clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, 13 values in each suit. That's 52 cards altogether. There are millions and millions of possible combinations with the deck of cards, but I'm going to make this very, very simple, and I'm going to have you name a number from 1 to 52. It is completely your choice. You have total freedom over the choice of this number, but I don't want you to say it out loud until I snap my fingers. When I snap my fingers, say that number. I'd like you to do that right now.
24.
Do you want to change your mind, or are you happy with 24?
No, that's fine.
Okay, because I don't want you saying later on, I made you pick 24.
No, that's okay.
24, okay. That's what it is. So at this point, I'd take the cards out of the case and I would give you the cards yourself. But obviously, you're behind the camera, so I'm going to do this. And we're going to deal down to the 24th card and put it right there. So let's do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Is that fair?
Yeah.
You could have said 25, you could have said 26, you could have said 27, you could have said 28, 29, 30.
Okay.
The point is, you had a completely free choice of where to stop, and you stopped at number 24. Do you have any idea what that card is?
No.
Of course you can't. It's impossible to know. And we'll have a look together for the first time. It's the 3 of clubs.
Okay.
And this envelope has been here from the very, very beginning. From the very, very beginning, I showed you that there was a card in there from a different deck.
Yeah.
And the card that's been in there from the very, very beginning happens to be the three of clubs. Probably one of the cleanest card at any numbers you'll ever see. So in second place, we have the Quantum deck. So the Quantum deck is, honestly, I think one of the best things I've ever created. Now, it caused a bit of controversy when it came out for a variety of different reasons that we're not going to get into on this video. But this is the trick that I perform every single gig. You know, I've already talked on this channel about how when I go out, I take one gimmick deck of cards and I alternate between different gimmick decks of cards. But a lot of the time, I'm using the Quantum deck. So the idea of the Quantum deck is you put the deck down on the table in front of you. You have someone name a number. It's a card at any number, although you can do it as an any card at any number, and I'll talk about that later. But as an any card at any number, as a card at any number, you put a deck down in front of you and it's blank. And you say to the spectators, it's blank. Every card's blank except for one. You get to decide where that card is. I'll tell you, it's a Queen of Clubs. It's got a red back. That's all I'm telling you. You get to decide the position. What position is it in? They tell you the position. You then pick up the deck and you deal. And when you deal to that position, and the card appears at that position. It's that clean. Now, the deck can be put down on the table from the very, very beginning. Absolutely. You're not having to change the positions. There is a range, and the range is 11 to 46. So as long as they name within 11 and 46, there's no manipulation of the cards at all. If it's outside of that, you have to do, something, but it can be done in front of the audience. But to be honest, it's very easy to limit people's choices for 11 to 46. Absolutely not a problem. But then there's no changing around of the cards. As long as they name within range, you pick up the deck and you deal. And you deal, and you deal, and you deal, and you deal, and the card appears at that number. Now, they have a free choice of any number. There's no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no stipulations to it at all. And this is the bit that annoyed people. It's examinable. If you give it to a layperson, they spread through it, they're not going to see anything at all, because the rest of the cards genuinely are blank. And that's the thing that I think was the big leap forward with Quantum deck. And that's the reason why I think so many people loved it, because all of the cards are blank on both sides, except for the one card that they name, which is in the position that they name. And, you know, there's ways on the project of making it an ACAAN. When I do this and I want to make it an ACAAN, I use decks by Lloyd Barnes and Javier Fuenmayor. And I talk about how you use decks on the project to be able to do this. But in essence, basically what you do, if you have somebody name a card, you have somebody name a number, you take the deck, the blank deck, and you deal down to that number, and the card appears at that number. When you combine this with decks, it becomes an absolute miracle. It really does. I'm very proud of the Quantum deck. Even now, a couple of years after it came out, every lecture I do the Quantum deck, because I think it's a great demonstration of creativity and how you actually create magic. And, you know, if I had one trick that I wanted to say, yeah, this represents my body of work, I think it would be the Quantum deck. So that's in second place. And I'm pretty sure every single person is thinking, well, hang on a minute, we thought Quantum deck would be number one. What's at the first place? Well, it's one that you can't get yet, but you'll be able to get it at some point in the next few months. Let's get into the first place. So, Jack, I got a pack of playing cards here. The box is blank, and the reason is the cards are blank. Now, there's 52 cards in the deck, but there's 51 blank cards here. 51 blank cards, one card that's printed. Now, the one card that's printed is the Jack of Hearts. It's actually got a red back. Your job is to try and work out where it is. Now, it's not at the top, it's not at the bottom, it's somewhere in the middle. That's all I'm telling you. That's the only advice that you're getting. My job is to try and influence you to try and work out what position the card's in. So, 52 cards in the deck. When I snap my fingers, name a position.
25.
25. Now, are you sure? Because you can change your mind if you want to. I don't want you saying later on, Craig made you pick 25. It's totally up to you.
I'll go with that. Well, it's my age, so I thought I'd go
Okay, 25. So I'm going to deal 25 cards onto the table.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn them over one at a time so you can see there are actually 25 cards there. And remember, I told you it was the Jack of Hearts, red back.
Yep. Somewhere
You think in the 25th position. Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay. So 1, 2, and again, I just want to confirm one more time. I Don't want you saying I'm cheating. 25, yeah?
25.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Isn't this exciting? 11, 12,
Just go and hide it.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It's gone well so far. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25th card. One card printed with a red back in the 25th position. All the other cards are blank completely on both sides. Have a look at all of that. That is the trick.
Wow.
So there you go, that's the original concept of the Quantum deck. It's a double blank deck of cards, and there genuinely is only one card printed, and it's in the position that they name. Now, there's an awful lot more you can do with it, but that's the basic handling of the Quantum deck, and I perform it at every single gig. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. You want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back again tomorrow at 6 o'clock with another Magic Live. I'll see you then. So first place is going to be, it doesn't even have a name yet. Let's call it the sequel to the Quantum deck. It's nothing like the Quantum deck, really. It doesn't use a blank deck of cards or anything like this. It really doesn't. But imagine having a deck of cards put down in front of a spectator and having them think of a number. Not telling you, not saying it out loud, not writing it down, not doing something with the deck to signal you. They just think of a number and they think of a card. Now imagine them never telling you the card and never telling you the number. Now imagine taking that deck without them saying anything, and you tell them that you just want them to, you're going to deal the cards, turning them over face up one at a time, and you want them to say stop at any point. You want them to say stop when you get to the card before their number, because you don't know what that number is. So let's say they're thinking of 20. That you would then say, right, so you're going to say stop on 19, because I have no idea what the number is that you're thinking of. So now you deal the card, you're turning them face up. Every single card is different. You're turning the cards over one at a time. They say stop. You then take the next card and you put it down in front of them. Every card is completely different. You still don't know the card. You still don't know the number. And then they turn the card over, and that is the card at that number. Now imagine doing that and having it instantly reset, and having the deck completely reset, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And imagine that there's no memory work. Imagine that there's no cribs. Imagine that there's no mathematics. And imagine it is that clean every single time. You never manipulate the cards. You never change the order of the cards, ever. No matter what position they name, you never change the order of the cards. And imagine them naming any card and any number and dealing down to that position. I'll let you know more when it comes out, but it's definitely going to be out this year. It's something we've been working on for the last couple of years, and I think this is probably about as close to my magnus opus as you're ever going to get. So yeah, I'm sorry I can't say more, but I'll be raving about it. I'll be talking about it from the rooftops when I am allowed to say more. But that's the Untitled ACAAN, which is going to be coming later this year. And that is at position number 1. So there you go, guys. That's a list of the 10 best ACAANs of all time. Now it's over to you. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Have I missed one out? If I have, I apologize. It's only my opinion, and I'm probably going to kick myself when you name something in the comments that I should have named. I'm very sorry. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Is there something I've talked about on this list that you haven't got that you now want to go and get? Let me know in the comments down below. You want to see more videos like this? Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. And don't forget, you want to learn more magic? Go and check out www.thenetrix.com. I've got about 12 different versions of ACAAN on the Netrix, along with 400 or 500 other routines. In fact, there's my one-handed ACAAN on the Netrix, which is a regular shuffle deck of cards. You have someone name a card, you have someone name a number, you deal one-handed to that card, and it's the card that they named. It's quite sleight of hand heavy, but it's really fun. And we've got a Discord server on the Netrix as well. We're going to make it the #1 Discord server by the end of the year, and Chris James is heading that up. You want to know more? www.thenetrix.com. I will see you again soon. Thanks for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.